Thanks for joining virtually. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining here virtually. Here to speak a little bit about this last stretch of the 2024 season and obviously the close of the secondary transfer window. So thank you for being here and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ned. We'll get started with Jeremy. Jeremy, go ahead.
Hi, Ned. More outgoings than incomings this window. Was that due to some deals not being able to get over the line, or did it have to do with the new roster direction, focusing more on U22s?
No, I don't think Jeremy, any of those things were connected there together. We had a few players that had some other opportunities, and looking at what was best for them and where they were at in their career and what was best for us going forward, both as a group and for them, and where they were at contractually. There's a few players that obviously it made some sense to move on from. I think obviously some of the additions that we made were obviously, a part of the plan and strategy. With Mason, we wanted to obviously add a little bit more experience depth within our attacking part of the team. Obviously, with the departure of Dairon, who's played an important role for us, in that spot over a number of years. And then obviously with Finn, we believe we've got a young central defender who gives us some potential big upside. We've had some success, as a club when you look back the previous couple of years. We find the secondary transfer window to be a great opportunity to potentially bring in young players with high potential. We saw that with Finn. So we've added him to the group as well.
Thank you. We'll go next to Sam Spiller.
Hey, Ned. I'd love to hear a little bit about what your goals for this roster were heading into this window. For example, I think there was some reporting towards the start of the window that potentially the club was targeting a central midfielder, potentially a designated player. I would love to hear what were your goals kind of going into this window, and did you feel like you met all of them now that it's closed?
Hi, Sam, and thanks for the question. We've with the new guidelines that have come into play for all MLS teams, which I think everyone has probably seen, and I believe now they've actually even made it public on which roster model MLS clubs have shifted to, which I think is great because it provides transparency to a lot of people that follow the game, like yourselves. And we've shifted to a model in which we'll have 2 designated players. We'll look to have 4 U22 players. So for us, Sam, I would say it's an acceptable transfer window. I wouldn't sit here and get all ecstatic and excited. I think we did a majority of our bigger work this previous offseason. The only addition that we toyed around the idea of adding an additional U22 player and an investment. But that being said, I think, when you look at the group right now, we struggled to understand how that player was really going to raise the impact immediately, of a 19, 20-year-old kid coming in at this time. So I think in terms of what we wanted to accomplish, for the most part, we've done that. I also think, when you look at the group, and I know I was critical of players last season, I think we've got to give some credit now to the players. They found a way to come together. I think there's a real buy-in to the group, which is a huge, huge positive for us. Certainly Phil and the rest of the staff have played a big role in that. They should be complimented for that. They have. And I think anytime you're in my position, you don't want to seek, or create change just for the sake of change, or trying to create, noise and attention, something that I have to be conscious of and aware of. And I think with our group right now, there's a good feeling of competition. It's healthy, and I think we've got a team that can finish the season strong.
Thanks. And just a quick follow-up related to the current roster. You've stated, from the start of the season, from last offseason, the goal is to make the playoffs. Is that the ceiling that you see for where this roster is at the moment, or do you see it potentially pushing for challenging for potential trophies towards the end of the season? Thanks.
I hope it's not the ceiling, Sam, but as you know, and following the league, it's an ultra competitive league, and there's a lot of teams, that have a lot of very good players. I would also say, Sam, you know, the plan and going into next season, I'm extremely pleased with the steps that we've taken over the last 9 months, you know, in that phase, you know, in the bigger project. Now, having said that, there is a plan in place. We have an alignment as a club with coaching staff and others of where we want to go. Ultimately, as we try to continue to raise the bar in the overall level of the team, I do think that has to come through some bigger acquisitions. Certainly, as we head into next year, having an additional U22 slot, having additional, you know, 2 million plus in general allocation money to work with, we're going to be able to look at those opportunities. That's already well underway. You know, and I'm confident as we go into next season, we'll be able to make the 1 or 2 additions that I think can really, really get us in and around where we want to be. And then it's just a question of, can we sustain that? You know, and obviously the goal for us is to try to get towards the top of the conference and try and stay there year in and year out. It's easier said than done, but I do like the steps. I do like the course that we've taken.
Thank you. We'll go next to Adam Sussman.
Hey, Ned, Phil mentioned that the club would receive a large offer for Moreno in the next 12, 18 months. Did you guys receive a large offer for him or any others during this window?
No, we didn't. You know, I think there's always conversations that are obviously happening behind the scenes, and look to that point as well. We have to continue to look at all and any opportunities that do make us stronger as a club. Certainly as those opportunities come along, you know, we'll assess them together as a group. But there were no, you know, offers that we saw as a club that made sense for us to essentially, you know, in some ways weaken our team. We feel that we've got a pretty strong group, especially I think when you look at that front four together, along with some others in the attack. We believe that maybe we have one of the stronger attacking groups in all of MLS right now. So we did not, Sam. There was nothing there. I think that's, you know, really made it difficult for us to make a decision on should we look to part ways with one of our more important players right now.
And then quick follow from me. Was there any future contract extensions you're looking to get done in the near future? I know David Ashala is coming up in about 2 years.
Not necessarily. You know, the middle of the season is not usually a time in which, you know, we would look to do that. I would tell you, you know, openly, there's been 2 or 3 players that we have at least had those conversations with, because I think that they're deserving of those. One I've got no problem whatsoever pointing out is Diego Chara. You know, and Diego Chara is the heartbeat of this club. His importance is much, much bigger and extends much further out than just his role within the field. We will have Diego Chara back with us one way or another next year and going forward. That's extremely important to the club. It's extremely important to myself and to Phil.
All right, we'll wrap it there. Thank you, Ned.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody.